Hello everyone, welcome to FineReport tutorial lesson 4, Advanced Learning. So today we're going to make our advanced dashboard. And also for today's lesson, we will have 4 sections: big screen display, create a dashboard, add title and component, and also add data. So in today's lesson, first let's take a look at the final result we're gonna make as the screen shows. And also before we actually making this dashboard, I'm going to list all the steps that you need to use from here. Number 1, number 2, number 3, create a new dashboard. Second, adjust dashboard and also choose a background. So that's going to be the very beginning of the 3rd step. And also for adding the title and components, we have 2 steps. Select the components that we need to use and also adjust the layout. So for the entire dashboard. And also for big screen, we have to add data, of course. Now we have the appropriate command background and add the dataset. Also adjust chart properties to make the entire dashboard looks good. Alright, so let's move on to the designer phase. As you can see, we already have the pre-made dashboard, which has a lot of components. So that's going to be the final designing phase for this dashboard. Also, let's take a preview at this dashboard. So this is a well-made dashboard. It's going to be our final result for today. And as you can see, we have different components in this place, such as the bar chart, word cloud, the pie chart, and in the middle we have the carousel, and also the KPI card. And in the bottom we have the table. So back to the designer. The general idea is to using different components to drag and drop on to design the final report. So we have different components such as the bar chart on the left, different word chart, the pie chart, the report block, and also the text block. So by designing different parts of the dashboard, we can finally making our final result. So that's a general idea for how to make a dashboard, which is including different components. Alright, so right now let's creating our new dashboard to make this dashboard. So very first we have to change the layout type from adaptive to absolutely layout, since this is a relatively fixed dashboard. Also the zone mode, we should choose area fit. So if you want to use adaptive layout, that's for relatively more flexible dashboard. So for this situation, for this dashboard we're making, all the components are relatively fixed in different positions. So that's why we're choosing the absolute layout. So let's save it first. Next step, let's first give it a background. Since we have the deep blue, so on the right side, advanced style, standard, we can insert our body background. So in here, we're gonna choose outside image. So the image is already prepared in advance to use. So remember the dashboard has a dark blue background, so that's going to be this image, and we choose extended image. Alright, so let's save it and preview, see if our background is already here. So as you can see, we already have the general background, the body background for this dashboard. So that's going to be our very first step. So next we enter the section 3, which is add titles on the top and also add different components. So very first, let's add the 2 titles in here. So what we do is drag the report block into this plane. So in here we have 2 titles, so that's why we have 2 components to drag. And as you can see, we can freely drag these components, change the size anywhere in this plane. And for convenience, let's use the already current position and the size. So in here, we can change the coordinates and also the size as the pre-made. Alright, and also we're going to do the same for the next one. So in here, we already have the corresponding component location and the size. So by the way, this is all pre-tested. So during the beginners who is making a dashboard, this will always go back and forth a couple times in order to make the best adjustment for this location. But for now, we're just going to use the pre-made to save the time. All right, so let's save it first. We have the first two report block, which is our titles. So if we're clicking one of the title, we're going to do adjustment and type in the corresponding content in here. So what we do is we type in the fake title in this demo dashboard. So some company sales volume, that's going to be our title in the very top. And the idea is once we have input the text volume, the text inside this report block, which is one of the components inside our dashboard, the dashboard will showing the corresponding input value, which is our text, XX company's sales volume. And also, as we adjust the font style here, the dashboard will giving the same feedback. And another thing to mention is that since we have a relatively dark front color, the background is also dark blue. So as the demo shows, we probably going to change this color into a relatively light gray in order to fit the dashboard better. All right. So same idea, we're going to type in the second title in the second component. So which is the sales in 2018. Let's do 2020 this time. And also, of course, we have to adjust the front looking, make it a little bit bigger in the center. And let's use the blue color for this title, just to differentiate. All right, so right now we're already done the first two components, the report block, showing the text value. So let's take a look at the final result for these two title. As you can see, it's already here. And also one thing to mention is that for the first title, as you can see, we have a different background surrounded. So that's why in here we have to insert another background just for this title. So same idea, clicking on this report and also select the pre-made image. All right, and also let's choose extended image to let the image surrounded this text. And then let's save it and preview the result. So as you can see, we already have another background surrounded by this title. So that's basically done. All right, so next step, let's making the two components in the middle, which is our Kpi chart and also the carousel chart. So these two charts is also including in FineReport. So all we have to do is select the extended chart. This one is the carousel chart, and drag and drop them inside this board. And also we have the extended chart, Kpi chart. So let's choose the third option for the Kpi chart to match the pre-made style. And the next step, same idea, we're going to adjust the position and the size of this C chart inside FineReport. So in order to save the time, we're going to just use the pre-made coordinate, the location, and also the pre-made size for these two. So usually when people designing a dashboard, when they drag and drop different components, different chart, they have to test what's the best looking, the best fit for their dashboard in order to make the best looking of the dashboard. So that's why you have to go back and forth to testing the coordinates and also the size. So that's the idea. And for us, in order to save time, we're going to use the pre-made. But you get the idea. It's easier in FineReport to do this operation to adjust how you want to draw this plane. Alright, so let's type the size for this carousel chart. Alright, so the next step, we're gonna bind in the data for this huge chart. So let's create our DBQA dataset. So for today, we're gonna use sales volume for the data binding. And as we hit the preview, we can see that we have different regions, East China, North China, and also the corresponding information. What we need is the region and also the sales volume in sum. But for now, let's just create this dataset, which is used for the carousel chart. So in order to differentiate, let's change the name to the corresponding components that we need to bind in, which is chart 0. Alright, so right now let's bind in the data. The content should be the sales volume. Okay, so next let's bind in the data for the second component, the chart 1. So same here, we're gonna create a DBQA dataset named chart 1 corresponding to this component. And for this one, also let's use sales volume as well, since they have the linkage. So we're gonna use the same dataset. But in here, we're gonna use circle command to create our parameter, which is region. Since these two have a different linkage, what we want to show is the region total number in the upper and also the corresponding details in the down part. So that's why we need a parameter, and we're gonna use this parameter in just a few minutes. So let's just create it real quick and also set the default value. So let's just type East China for the default value. Alright, so that's a simple dataset parameter we already created. So far we are halfway through it, and one more small thing to do. Oh, my bad. We should bind in the data really quick, which is the sales volume. And let's do another step, which is cancel the background for this component, because these components, two components already have a pre-made background, and since we already have the dark blue as a body background, so we just go ahead and cancel both of the background. Alright, so far we are halfway through making these two components because they haven't achieved the linkage part. But let's just preview, see how far we have gone. Oops, so as you can see, the screen is a little bit frozen. That's because we have every detailed data showing on these middle components. The reason why is because we haven't typed the command, which is grouped by region. So in that way, the data only will be grouped showing by different region. So let's type the group by region as well. So let's hit the preview. As you can see, we have the group by region, but still we haven't have the sum of the region sales volume. So that's why we have to type the circle command, which is select region, and also sum the sales volume for different region. So as you can see, we only have the individual numbers, so that's why we have to use sum to sum the sales volume. Also group by region. So as you can see, we have the total number here. So that's just technique for circle language insert. Alright. So let's preview it, see if we still have all the complicated numbers. So for this time, as you can see, we only have the East China and the North China showing here. But still, on the upper part, as you can see, we still haven't achieved the linkage part. It's only showing one number. That is because we haven't adjusted anything here. So as you can see from the demo, we have the linkage between these two. So what we need to do is to using the parameter to passing the region parameter between these two in order to achieve the linkage. So go back to this middle part. First, let's change the contact to nude, and also on the play, let's add the linkage, which is current dashboard. And chart 1 is going to be the upper middle KPI card. And what we do is to add a parameter, which is region, the primary one, and set the value to the corresponding nude value. So region is going to be the nude that we use to pass in the linkage. So go back to the play. And let's adjust the value for this one, the new name. And also in order to recognize, because we're going to make a different linkage, so let's just call this one chart 1. Alright, so let's preview to see if we already achieved the linkage. And yep, as you can see, we have the corresponding total sales volume showing in the upper, and also the carousel card is moving corresponding to the KPI card. So that's the idea for linkage, and so far already done the two components. So by far already done the two title and the middle two components part. So next we're gonna drag and drop the surrounding chart. And for this time, let's just drag and drop every chart at the one time, because we have to adjust the coordinates and the size for both of all of the chart, including the left part, the bar chart. So we have the word chart, and also the pie chart. And in the bottom, of course, we have the report block showing some detailed information. So you might as well just drop and drag the report block. So same idea, we're gonna adjust the size for these 5 components surrounding. And for this time, we're just gonna copy and paste the current corresponding coordinates and the size for all of them. And in order to save time, I'm gonna skip this part of this video in a very short time, and let's jump directly to another part. Alright, so by far we already adjust all of the coordinates and the size for these 5 components. So the next thing to do is to bind the data. So in order to do that, we have to create a different data set. So let's create our dbQuery dataset for our chart 2, showing on the right upper corner, which is our left bar chart. So what we do is we select sales volume as our data table. So what we want to show in here is to showing different salesperson on the category, and also their corresponding sum of their total sales volume. So in here, we have to use a specific circle command, which is select salesperson, sum sales volume from sales volume. Alright, and also, since we want to do the linkage between this one and the middle carousel chart, so we have to use where our region equals to parameter region. Again, so the parameter dataset parameter ID is showing here once more, since we want to do the parameter passing. And also, we want to showing different data by salesperson, so that's why we have to add the group by salesperson as well. So in here, let's just type a default value, which is East China, and let's take a look. Alright, so we have our data prepared, and just rename this one as chart 2 in order to recognize. So next, let's hit the edit and binding the corresponding data. So data set is going to be data 2, chart 2, and the category is going to be salesperson. And the sales name is going to be field name, and the field is going to be the sum of the sales volume. So next, let's change the style for this bar chart a little bit. So very first, for both Y and the X axis, we want to switch the color in order to look better. So let's change this one to light blue. Next, we want to hit the legend, since we don't want to show in the legend. And let's make a title for this one to indicate the corresponding information. So sales volume, salesperson volume. Let's call this one. And also let's change the color to light blue in order to fit. Alright. So let's do a more adjustment for the style. So in the background, drawing area, we want to change the vertical to none, to showing no background here. Alright, so by far we're already done the style changing for this bar chart. So next, let's set up the bar chart linkage. So go back to chart 0, which is a carousel chart. I'm going to add another linkage. Current dashboard chart 2, which is the bar chart. And also the parameter is going to be region. Value is going to be the same, node name. So the idea is to use the carousel chart as the middle center, and every chart which has a linkage will moving corresponding to this carousel chart. So let's take a look at our final result for this pie chart. So the idea is, as the middle section carousel chart moving, the left bar chart and the upper chart will moving according to the region. Alright, so that's basically done. So move on to the right section. We have the word cloud and the pie chart. So let's make a dbQuery dataset for our chart 3, which is the word cloud. So same idea, we're going to use sales volume. And also we're going to have a linkage between this. So in order to save time, we're going to copy and paste the pre-write circle language, but you get the idea. In the word cloud, we want to show in different product type and also the corresponding sales volume. So in here, we're just going to directly copy and paste this circle command, as you can see from the screen. And also let's name this as chart 3. Alright. So already done the data preparation for word cloud. And let's bind in the data and also adjust the style. So chart 3 for the dataset, name for the product, and also volume is going to be the sales volume. And also we want a summary. So next we're going to adjust the style for this word cloud. So give it a title. Alright, so let's get rid of the legend for this one. And also for the special effect, let's cancel the toolbar for this chart. And also for the series, we want to have the define size in order to look better for the text. So let's just hit the preview, pre-made one, which is 10 to 40. Alright, so because we want a linkage between these two charts as well, according to different region, so we want to do same idea. We're gonna add another current dashboard linkage in the carousel chart, called it chart 3 with the parameter region. And also the volume is gonna be new name. Alright, so that's gonna be the linkage between the word cloud and also the carousel chart. So move on to the bar chart. Same idea. We're gonna, in order to save time, we're gonna copy and paste the circle language. But the idea is to showing different product type inside this bar chart with the corresponding sum of the sales volume. And also we have the linkage. So basically we have the same, pretty much the same data set for this one. And also this is our chart 4, so let's call this one chart 4. Alright, so we have the data prepared for this bar chart, pie chart. So next, let's go ahead binding the data and edit different style. So 4 is going to be our data set, and the no category, since we only want one pie chart. And the series is going to be product type, and the volume is going to be sum of the sales volume. Alright, so next, let's change the title for this one. So because these two are showing pretty much the same thing, so let's call this one product type volume. And then we have to go back to change the word cloud title to product volume, because the word cloud is mainly showing different product. Alright, so change the style for this one, and also no legend as well. And we want to add a label showing here in order to indicate the data, so let's use series. And also we don't want the background line, so we don't need the background line. So let's go back to change the name for the word cloud in order to avoid the repetitive. Alright, so same idea, we're gonna having the linkage between the carousel chart and also the pie chart to region. So I'm gonna repeat this work as well. Alright, so chart 4, the pie chart is already linkaged between the carousel chart. So we're almost done with these two charts, so let's take a look at what we made so far. Alright, so as you can see, we already have pretty much a rough dashboard making here for all this component. And maybe you think it's a little bit odd. That is because we don't have the outline for these three components. So really quick, we're gonna insert the background for these three charts. So same idea, we're gonna insert the pre-selected background, which is outline for all of this. So let's do this really quick. Alright, I have one more to do. Alright, so now let's take a look. And also we don't want the toolbars for the special effect. So let's cancel the content for this one. Alright, so we're pretty much done with these two components on the right side. So let's take a look at our final result. So what we do is cancel the toolbars, making different adjustment for the style, and also insert the outline for the three components, which makes this dashboard looks better. So by far we already have 90% of this dashboard making, and in the bottom, as you noticed before, we have a detailed report showing here. So that's going to be our last step. Really first, we're going to prepare our data set, which is select all from sales volume. And also we have a parameter passing for the linkage for this table as well. So we have the where region equals to region. So that's going to be our final components, which is the report. So let's name it as report. Second. So by default value, we're going to type East China for this parameter. So that's going to be our detail table. So next, let's edit in this table. So very first, we're going to change the column width. Let me make it a little bit wider. And for this one, we're just going to make as a report as we usually do in other tutorials. So we have the region, salesperson, product type, and also we have the product name, and also the sales volume. So as I said, this is going to be a detailed report showing more detailed stuff in the bottom. So that's going to be the title for this report. Alright, so changing the font, and don't forget to change the background color, the font color for this one. So light blue. Alright, so next we're gonna drag and drop the corresponding data table on the different titles, and also adjust the style and the color for this one. Alright, so that's pretty much done for this one. And also for the data setting, we want to having list instead of group for this data table. And of course, we have the data linkage for the detail table as well. So really quick, in here, just gonna use the linkage again to pass in the parameter. Alright, so I think we're pretty much done with making this fancy dashboard. And let's take a look at our final result in here. Perfect. So as you can see, we have the different components changing corresponding to different to the middle, which is our character chart. And also we have the table showing in the bottom line about the detail. So that's pretty much done with our lessons for today. What we did is making a fancy dashboard step by step using FineReport. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.